Ta-da.
I gotta tell you riding it like silent, so I mean, you say you ready? Open that file. You gotta run a silent double, baby.
Hey, Drew, what's your mom? Okay, we in the... Hey.
Breaking overnight while you were sleeping, Miami-Dade police charged a man for abducting and killing a Southwest Miami-Dade woman. This is a look at that suspect, 32-year-old Xavier Johnson. Police making the arrest after finding the suspect near where human remains were discovered.
CBS 4's Deborah Souverain. She's live at the jail in West Miami-Dade. That's where he's being held this morning. Deborah?
Right now at noon, authorities arresting a man who they say confessed to kidnapping and killing his pregnant girlfriend. We were there as 32-year-old Xavier Johnson was walked into jail shortly after midnight. Police say Andrea Lloyd was abducted as she was working at a Southwest Miami-Dade group home.
And human remains were found, sadly, on Wednesday, but they have yet to be identified. Johnson now facing a judge, and local 10's Annalise Garcia is live in Doral with more on this one for us. Annalise.
I swear I couldn't love you more, but I know tomorrow I will love you more than today. On the 15th of October, 2021, a woman in Miami wrote those words on Facebook, attaching a smiling photo of herself embracing her boyfriend of 11 years beneath the golden sunlight, with a lavish marina as the backdrop. She called him her my match, her perfect piece. 2 months later, the man in that photo attacked her at her workplace, beat her unconscious, shoved her into the trunk of a car, and drove off into the night. When she was found, her body was hidden inside a metal container beside a pickup truck deep in the desolate woods of South Florida. Andrea Lloyd, 27 years old, 6 weeks pregnant, had been killed by the very man she once called her perfect match. Have you ever looked at a couple and thought, they look so happy? Have you ever envied those sweet photos online? Then what if I told you behind those hugs, behind those smiles, there was control, manipulation, and silent betrayals? Andrea was not a random victim. This wasn't just a breakup gone wrong. It was a death sentence, carefully planned because she dared to say no, dared to walk away. A tragedy that left America asking, how could a relationship that lasted more than a decade end in such a brutal death? If you're watching this video, stay until the end. Today's story isn't just about a crime, it's a warning about love that looks sweet online but hides danger in real life. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and comment to let me know where you're watching from, because these stories could be unfolding all around you without you even realizing it. Andrea Lloyd was the youngest of 12 children in a large Miami family. To her father, Arnold Lloyd, she wasn't just his little girl, she was the backbone of the entire family. A daughter who was responsible, caring, and dependable. The one who called her father every single day, no matter how busy she was with work, with her children, or with overnight shifts that stretched until dawn. Andrea was warm, kind, and always showed up when others needed her. After graduating from Miami-Dade public schools, she chose a path of service, working as a supervisor at a support center for people with disabilities in South Miami-Dade. It wasn't a glamorous job, with no spotlight or recognition. But for Andrea, it was her way of giving kindness every single day. Her 2 sons, one 5 years old, the other just learning to walk at 1, were the greatest motivation in her life, and the man who appeared in every family photo, every celebration, every trip, was Xavier Johnson. Andrea had loved him since she was 16. For 11 years, they had been almost inseparable. Their love, on social media, looked like a modern-day fairy tale. Jet ski rides out on the ocean. Birthday parties for the kids. Couple photos by the Miami Bay with sweet captions. My match. TikToks of them singing, dancing, laughing in each other's arms. To outsiders, they were relationship goals. To friends, they were the couple that couldn't be separated. And to Andrea's family, Xavier was once trusted completely, like an unofficial son-in-law. They had years filled with laughter. They had moments of forgiveness. And there were times when Andrea thought, maybe I'll be with this man for the rest of my life. She stayed for the children, for the memories, for the hope that maybe things would get better. But some things never get better. A long relationship doesn't always mean safety. A familiar man doesn't always mean he isn't dangerous. And sometimes, the hardest thing to walk away from is the person who's been by your side so long, you forget who you are without them. Every love story begins with something beautiful, but not every love story ends that way. For Andrea, the worst didn't arrive suddenly. It built up little by little, silent, smoldering like a fire burning beneath the ash. No one heard her screams, because she never screamed. She only endured. Xavier, the father of her children, the partner by her side for over a decade, began to change. Or rather, his true nature began to show. The signs of control grew clearer. Andrea was cut off from friends, questioned whenever she spoke too often with family. Whenever she pushed back, he twisted the situation, making her feel like she was the one at fault. And then came the betrayals, repeated and shameless. Xavier cheated not just once, and not even trying to hide it. Andrea was hurting, but she kept it inside. For her 2 children, for the 11 years she had invested in love and loyalty. But no one can endure forever. In the winter of 2021, she began to find herself again, quietly. She didn't tell many people. But to her father, Arnold, she confessed, "I'm going to leave him. I've had enough." And then, on the 6th of December, 2021, Andrea posted something unusual on Facebook. Not a family photo, not a cute TikTok clip, but a haunting line. Narcissistic manipulators, people who intentionally, unintentionally attack you and hurt you, then once you react, they make you the problem. A statement without names, but clearly not by chance. It was a warning, a desperate signal, a hidden goodbye. The woman who once filled her feed with sweet love captions was now facing a chilling truth. The man beside her was no longer a safe harbor, but a ticking fuse ready to explode. What Andrea didn't know was that he had already realized it, and was preparing to make sure she would never leave. Andrea once thought, "If I can just be strong enough to leave, it will all be over." But she didn't know the most dangerous moment is leaving a controlling man. Statistics prove it. The time when a woman prepares to walk away from a toxic relationship is when she's most at risk of being killed. And Xavier Johnson was living proof of that. From the moment Andrea spoke of leaving, Xavier's behavior shifted. He grew quieter but colder. No more arguments, no more pleading, just long, unsettling stares without a word, short, clipped text messages, unexpected appearances at her workplace, just standing there in silence, like a shadow. Andrea felt uneasy, but she kept moving forward. She was used to enduring. What she didn't know was that he was already planning. During that time, he began searching strange things online. Articles about women changing after having kids, posts about child custody laws in Florida, and dark forums about unfaithful women. Those searches weren't illegal, but later they would stand as evidence of a mind consumed by control and revenge. He also bought a large metal box, the kind usually used to store tools or heavy equipment, and placed it in the bed of his pickup truck. No one knew why a man like him, who wasn't a mechanic, would need something so big and heavy, but later, police would find Andrea's body inside that very box. On the 6th of December, when Andrea posted about the toxic manipulator, her family didn't see it as a warning. But Xavier understood, and perhaps that was the final spark. In his eyes, Andrea had betrayed him, not because of infidelity, but because she dared to cut off his control. She dared to stand up and walk away from a relationship that, to him, she was supposed to accept and be grateful for forever. Andrea didn't realize every exit was slowly being sealed. She only had a few days left to live without even knowing it. On the night of the 7th of December, 2021, an unexpected call came. A co-worker couldn't make the night shift. As always, Andrea agreed to cover. She told her family, "I'll probably be home a little late." She didn't know it would be her last night. On the night of the 7th of December, leading into the early hours of the 8th of December, 2021, Andrea Lloyd was working the overnight shift at a disability care center on Southwest 285th Terrace in Miami. She hadn't planned to take that shift, but when a co-worker called saying they couldn't make it, Andrea, as always, was the one willing to step in. She texted her father, "I'm fine. Just the night shift. See you in the morning." It was the last message Arnold Lloyd would ever receive from his youngest daughter. 12:30 a.m. The center's surveillance camera recorded a vehicle pulling up. Andrea was making her rounds, checking that the patients were settled. Then came a knock at the door. In the stillness of night, most people would hesitate. But Andrea didn't open doors for strangers. She looked through the crack then, unlocked it. Standing outside was Xavier Johnson, the father of her 2 children, the man who had been by her side for over a decade. But just seconds after the door opened, he lunged forward, attacking her right there in the doorway. No words, no warning, just a violent blow. The camera captured Andrea being struck repeatedly, then dragged across the floor toward a white Honda Civic parked at the entrance. Her small frame was forced inside and vanished. The car, bearing Florida plate Y650DL, pulled away in silence, carrying Andrea, carrying the unborn child inside her, and carrying a tragedy already set in motion. The next morning, the 8th of December, the replacement shift arrived at the center, only to find it empty. No Andrea, no note, no phone, nothing. The disappearance was immediately reported to police. But Andrea's family didn't wait for the system to catch up. They began searching for her themselves. Arnold Lloyd called all 11 of Andrea's brothers and sisters together for an emergency meeting. They split up. Some went to places Xavier used to frequent. Others headed into the woods, following instinct to the spots where he once took Andrea for picnics, for outings, for times when they hid away from friends. All those old memories now turned into clues in a desperate search between life and death. Late that afternoon, a relative spotted Xavier's black pickup truck in a desolate wooded area near SW 127th Avenue and 328th Street, a swampy, isolated place where few people ever passed. And Xavier was there. He paced back and forth beside the truck, not leaving, not calling anyone, just circling, as if calculating, uneasy, tense. The family immediately dialed 911. Police arrived with K9 units, drones, and ATVs to navigate the rough terrain. They approached Xavier. He didn't resist. He didn't run. But he offered no explanation. Then, the cadaver dogs began to howl near a large metal box sitting beside the truck. Officers pried it open. Inside was the body of Andrea Lloyd, the woman who had been an angel at the care center, the mother of 2 young boys, carrying a 3rd child, now shoved into a metal box, hidden in the woods. And the killer was the very man who once laid his hand on her stomach and said, "You're going to be the mother of my 3 children." When the body was confirmed, Andrea's entire family collapsed. Screams of grief echoed through the woods. It was a scene no one should ever have to witness. Yet it was the fate of countless women, women who had warned, who had spoken up, who had posted haunting words on Facebook, but were never truly heard. The 9th of December, 2021. At Miami-Dade Police Headquarters, Xavier Johnson sat in the interrogation room. He didn't resist. He didn't ask for a lawyer. He didn't deny a thing. He admitted it all. Abducting Andrea from her workplace, beating her, killing her, and hiding her body in the metal box in the woods. He knew she was pregnant, and he knew she was about to leave him.
Assets you own, the property you own, are what? Jet skis and what else?
The value of my jet skis is $16,000.
Family tells us Johnson was the boyfriend of Lloyd and father of her 2 children.
Meanwhile, at the Lloyd family home, 2 little boys, 1 and 5 years old, kept asking, "Where's Mommy? Why isn't Mommy home yet?" The older one was starting to understand. The younger still giggled at his mother's picture on the wall. No one could bring themselves to tell them that the man who once lifted them high, who once said, "Family is everything," was the very one who destroyed it all. Arnold Lloyd, the 60-year-old father who had just lost his youngest daughter, had no time to grieve. He stepped into another battle, fighting for custody of his 2 grandsons. He refused to let them fall into the welfare system. He refused to let them grow up without the image of a loving family. In court, he stood tall, tears still on his face, and said, "They are a part of my daughter. I will raise them with everything I have left in me." A few days later, Andrea's funeral took place on what would have been her 28th birthday. Instead of cake and roses, there was incense, smoke, and trembling embraces. Family and friends wore pink, her favorite color. They released pink balloons into the sky, each one carrying an unfinished wish, a smile left incomplete.
How many ever did this to my daughter to suffer, and never see the light? Allow his blessings to be over us. All y'all know that we are a loving family, and that was my baby. That was my heart.
We always get together for anything that the family needed. We'll be there. Brothers, sisters, nieces, and nephews and all.
On social media, Andrea's final post about narcissistic manipulators began to spread. It was no longer a warning. It became a farewell, a sounding alarm. A name, Andrea Lloyd, was no longer just a victim. She became a symbol for those who once loved, once forgave, once stayed silent, and lost everything. On the morning of the 9th of December, 2021, Xavier Johnson entered the Miami-Dade courtroom, his hands cuffed, his feet shackled, his eyes empty. Across from him stood a judge and a shattered family. Beneath his mask, Andrea's father, Arnold, tried to hold himself together. The judge read out the charges. First-degree murder, kidnapping, burglary with assault, and indirectly, the killing of a 6-week-old fetus of the Kong. This is a capital case. This could be a death penalty case, Judge Mindy Glazer declared. Xavier didn't cry. He showed no remorse. When asked about his assets, he coldly listed, "I've got a few jet skis, some mini bikes, and a couple of cars." While Andrea's family wept, mourning the loss of a daughter, a mother, a sister, the man who had taken 3 lives was calculating which vehicles to sell to hire a lawyer. The investigation confirmed. The metal box had been purchased weeks earlier, likely prepared in advance. His phone searches, his visits to forums about violence and betrayal, all happened before the killing. Everything pointed to this. It wasn't a crime of impulse, but a deliberate plan. In the hearings that followed, prosecutors confirmed they would pursue the death penalty. Xavier Johnson was ordered held without bail. As of now, he still awaits his official trial. In court, Arnold Lloyd spoke words that silenced the entire room. "I lost my daughter. I lost a grandchild who never had the chance to be born. And now I must raise 2 little boys, the children of the man who killed their mother. I don't want revenge. I want justice." Andrea Lloyd should have lived. On her 28th birthday, she should have been smiling over a cake, with her 2 little boys running around her. Her 3rd child should have been born cradled in the arms of a devoted mother. Instead, she was buried on her birthday, a life sealed inside a metal box in the depths of the woods by the very man who once claimed to love her more than anything. This case is not a breakup gone wrong. It is a horrifying testament to a love warped by control and manipulation, a love too often mistaken for long-term commitment. Andrea spent 11 years with Xavier since she was just a teenager. She forgave, she endured, she hoped. And when she finally found the courage to leave, she paid for it with her life. You see, not every victim is weak. Andrea was strong. She didn't stay silent. She sent signals. She gave warnings. But no one recognized them, or took them seriously enough to understand that a Facebook post about a toxic manipulator can sometimes be a farewell note. If you are in a relationship that makes you afraid, makes you doubt yourself, makes you feel like you're slowly disappearing, listen to that instinct. No one deserves to live in fear, and no one deserves to die simply because they dared to leave. Thank you for staying with me until the very end of this story. If Andrea Lloyd's case made you stop and think, share it. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and comment below to let me know where you're watching from. Because somewhere around you there may still be another Andrea, waiting to be heard.
Ta-da.
I gotta tie you right and it like silent, so I mean, you say you ready? Open that file. You gotta run a Sunday double, baby.
Hey, Dre, watch your mom. Okay, we in the. Hey.